All right, welcome everyone to our workshop today. We're going to be going over the new rules of marketing. What I like to say is humans lead and AI executes in this big year of marketing in 2026. Going to be a huge paradigm shift going on as AI becomes more and more prevalent. One thing I want to say is AI doesn't replace human leadership. It amplifies it. When humans lead with strategy and judgment, AI can execute faster, smarter, and at scale. AI is powerful, but it's not the leader. Humans lead with intent and intelligence. AI executes with speed and precision. In other words, AI works best when it has direction. And today we're going to be talking about these human insights, set that vision, and then how AI turns that vision into action. Most of you guys know me already. Been doing this. I've been in your shoes. I've been on both sides of the fence here. Used to be in remodeling, fix and flips, custom home development. But I've always been a computer geek at heart. And so I think that's a perfect blend of having been on both sides of that fence. I'm the only one in the industry that can say, hey, I've done remodels. I've built $1 million custom homes. But I'm also a computer geek and really know my way around a computer, the internet, and this whole digital marketing thing, and especially now AI. Which has really been fun to kind of geek out on. Uh, this is what we do. We only work with home improvement contractors, remodelers, builders, roofers, other home improvement companies. That's all we do. We're not trying to be that big box company that I know several of them that say they're experts in working with everybody in every industry. And that's just not possible. That's why you remodelers don't go out and start putting in pools and replacing septic tanks and things like that. You have other subs and other companies you work with. In other words, you stay in your lane, and that's what we try to do. We stay in our lane and try to be the best that we can absolutely be when it comes to digital marketing for the home improvement space. And so when it comes to AI, like I said earlier, humans set the direction and AI powers the execution. The question isn't whether AI will do the work, it's who's doing the thinking. In the future, and that future is already here. Humans lead and AI executes. Think of AI as another tool in your toolbox. AI is just a tool. It's not a replacement for experience or strategy. The companies winning with AI still have humans in charge, right? But it's this mindset shift that is the foundation of modern marketing. AI will be a profound paradigm shift for everyone in the entire world and most every industry, not just marketing. So it will behoove you to kind of get on board earlier rather than later. The marketing reality in 2026 is that attention is harder to earn these days and easier to lose. Homeowners are more educated nowadays before they even contact you. There's so much content out there on the internet. So you've got to be prepared for that shift in marketing, that shift in how you're doing messaging, and then how you can use AI or automations to help you with that as well. And really, the important thing is establishing relevance, urgency, and clarity in the marketing you do, in the messaging that you do. So marketing success nowadays, it's really going to depend on how relevant you are, how relevant your message is, the timing of that message, the timing for the homeowner. Are they at the right point in time for you? Are they in the research tire kicking stage, or are they in the ready to move forward? I want to make a decision stage and get that renovation underway, and then the clarity stage as well. Are we really clear on what we're trying to sell them? Are they clear on letting us know where they're at in their journey? If your message isn't instantly relevant, it's going to get ignored. And that urgency component, it's going to answer that question, why now? Not with pressure, but with purpose. Is now the time for that renovation to happen? And then that clarity, it beats clever every time, especially for homeowners. They're not usually, up for the clever, witty jokes. They're serious about what they want done, and they want a company that can help them bring their vision to life. By definition, modern marketing, the whole landscape of modern marketing is really defined by AI abundance, meaning more tools, more automation, and more data than ever. Yet many teams are really kind of struggling to translate this into consistent growth or return on investment. As we all know, AI tools are everywhere. Access is no longer the advantage, nor the roadblock. But AI tools will need direction. And it's your strategy, your vision that will be the real differentiator on how well you can implement AI in your business and get your team to implement it as well, which is super important. And so, here's the reality. Most marketing teams are overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by just too many AI tools to choose from, trying to learn them, trying to learn, teach an old dog new tricks, conflicting advice that they may be reading or getting. Maybe one of your remodeling buddies is using one tool and someone's using another tool saying that other tool is no good. So then what do you do? And then all of a sudden it's, paralysis by analysis. Well, let's just not even go down this AI road. And you don't want to do that. Think of what, if Henry Ford would have thought that, we might all still be riding around in buggies and carriages. And then, you have rapid platform changes too. Like we're always updating all of our SOPs because all the different software platforms we use, which are dozens and dozens, they keep changing their interface and the way that their tools work. So that's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's part of business and part of moving your business forward, right? And then there's also the fact that AI adoption is really widespread, right? We know that, but the results are really inconsistent. You're probably seeing that yourself, maybe. Maybe you're hearing that from others in the industry and your association groups. Maybe your content volume, you've really cranked it up, and your efficiency, you're getting more efficient in everything you do. Maybe AI is helping with that. Like I just mentioned, we're redoing all of our SOPs using AI to make them very uniform, make sure they all look the same, easy to read. But maybe then you find like your strategy or the differentiation of your brand is now falling off, and you're like, well, I'm putting all this extra time in, but I'm not really seeing that extra effort. And sometimes that's just the way it is. We don't go to the gym every day and work out and come out and be like, oh my God, I've gained an inch on my bicep, or I can run, a 4-minute mile now, like Roger Bannister. It's just it's not always instant results, but that work usually pays off if you're working smart and not just working harder. And then also many businesses are doing more, but not necessarily doing better. That working harder and working smarter analogy. Work smarter, don't work harder. For example, they're producing more and more content, but seeing fewer results. More activity doesn't necessarily mean more leads. I just did a free SEO consult for a client, a prospective client up in New Hampshire the other day, and he showed me all these blogs that he's got on us, hundreds of blogs, and they're just all AI generated, and no one wants to read that garbage. Search engines like Google, they're certainly not going to crawl all that garbage and then index those pages and deem them to be important and rank them in their search engines. And the gentleman I was talking to understood that after I explained it the right way. It looks good. But in the end, it's not really serving your purpose. So that's one of those examples of doing more and thinking, well, I'm not getting results. Like we're doing 5 blogs a month. Well, they're all AI garbage. They're very generic. They're not edited. They have no human touch to them. You can tell they're AI. Everyone knows they're AI. And so you're just really not doing yourself any favors. You're working harder, but you're certainly not working smarter. And so the core premise concerning artificial intelligence is that AI is the engine. It will execute for you. It will accelerate processes and systems and help you scale faster. But the key is that AI can move fast, but it doesn't always know where to go. Humans are the navigator. You are the navigator. You are the visionary of your company. And so you got to realize that, hey, I've got a vision for how to get there. I've got a strategy. Now I need AI to kind of help hone that. You, as the navigator, you need to help define that direction, help define your goals. What are your priorities? And without that navigator, that speed really just leads to chaos. It's just, AI spitting all this stuff out to you, and you're just like, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed. And then it gets a little chaotic, a little frenetic, and then you just got to take a step back, and you end up kind of losing that momentum and kind of losing the passion for wanting to make AI work for you as well. And so, where AI really excels versus where humans actually win, in general, AI shines at doing things at speed, at scale, detecting patterns and trends, whereas humans, they're going to win when it comes to judgment, empathy, strategy. And so the magic really happens when both of those are working together with intentionality. And one thing I want to say too is, your AI should support your strategy instead of hijacking it. What I mean by that is AI and humans excel at different types of work, right? Sustainable growth comes from assigning each the role where they perform best. In other words, tools should serve your goals, but not dictate them. If AI is running the show, strategy is usually going to disappear in that regard. Control comes from deciding the why before the how, really understanding that. And that takes you as the human navigator. And so when we talk about where AI excels, AI is truly unmatched at speed. It can do things infinitely faster than we can do it. And we've seen that as it spits out a whole 500 page, content article in like 3 seconds. But also, it's not going to be as refined as you want either. And so we'll talk about that as well. AI is also, unmatched when it comes to scaling and that pattern and trend recognition that I mentioned. AI can quickly gather and summarize large amounts of data. It's especially good at generating those first drafts and variations for content, for tables you might be putting together, SOPs even. And it's really good at spotting those patterns that humans might miss, especially if you're doing this at scale. You're going to miss some of that, whereas AI typically doesn't miss, but I'll warn you, AI is not perfect. I have called AI out on several occasions. I'm like, I asked for this and you didn't give me this. Like, why did you skip that? And me and AI, I've got my own personal AI account, so I established a little banner with it, and it's like, oh, Bob, you're right as usual. Here, let me fix that for you. And so it makes it like I've got a friend, with a personality. So it makes it a little more fun too. I actually get a laugh every now and then when I'm using AI to try to help me, get through a roadblock or help me, articulate a thought process more. So don't rely on AI like it's infallible, like it's just perfect, like whatever it spits out is just right, because I can guarantee you that is not going to happen 100% of the time. I've seen it time and time again. I've had others. I've taught other people in the industry, and they come back to me like, Bob, I'm trying this AI thing, but man, like it's got a long way to go. And I'm like, yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I'm glad you're recognizing that. Just bear with it and keep feeding it better and better inputs, keep practicing with it, and you'll get better. And as you get better, it gets better as well. And so some of the things that AI is really good at is research and data aggregation. So if you need to process large volumes of information quickly, maybe analyzing your competitors, analyzing what they're doing with their marketing, with their website, the effectiveness of their content, the strategies they're using. AI is going to be able to do that much faster than you or anyone else can. So that's really a good way to, if you want to look at what your competitors are doing, how are they succeeding? Just go through that website and say, hey, check out this brand. Here's their website. Here's their YouTube channel. Here's their Facebook. Tell me what strategy they're using, what content strategy. How are they succeeding, and why am I not? Like, just let it kind of analyze some of that for you. Again, take some of that stuff with a grain of salt, and take some of that stuff and actually make it an action step for you. That's a use case that not everyone thinks about. Like, oh, wow, I can just throw in all my competitors' URLs and things like that, and just have them analyze where they might might be beating me. And then, you can feed that to your in-house marketing team or your, do it yourself, whatever it may be. That's going to really give you that leg up. And just one step further, you're just making yourself that 1% better every day that we're all striving for. AI is also great at drafting copy and content variations. So it's great with coming up with really good headlines, eye-catching headlines. So that's great for different types of ad versions, different ad headlines, different ad copy. It's good at outlines as well as helping identify content gaps or maybe homeowner questions ahead of time. One of the expert tips I always throw out there is, this is where, those FAQ sections I'm always talking about, having those on your website and your Google Business Profile really helps set you apart. You've already asked AI, what are the main questions homeowners are having? And then you can address those FAQs, those questions on your website, on your Google Business Profile, in your blog post. You're already ahead of the game. And you may even get featured in one of those AI snippets as well, which is something that we've been working hard on in getting some of our clients ranked to where, they're featured in chat or Grok. We've been featured in several. I always ask, when someone calls me and wants to talk about marketing, hey, how'd you find us? And we've been found on like 3 or 4 different AI chat platforms now. So that's, that those FAQs and things like that, the way you put out content, lots of content, the way you structure it, the way you write it, that can help you get into those AI rich snippets, we call them. So that's something to consider and something I think I talked about last month as well. Also, design assistance. AI is a great tool for producing layouts, image concepts, formatting things. You can use it for social media, formatting your pictures and the posts that go with it. Again, don't just let it spit out generic posts. Like it's got to be in your brand voice, your brand tone. We'll talk about that, how you can feed that into AI as well. And you want to make sure you're doing that. And there's a lot that you can feed in that I think a lot of people are missing the boat on right now. And then, like I said, that pattern recognition at scale. AI is great at identifying trends across like large data sets, finding trends that might be going on in your industry, in remodeling, in design, in content writing, in strategy, marketing strategy. So there's a lot that AI can pick up on in terms of those trends that are happening in real time. And then where humans really win this race, this part's the good news, is that you're still relevant in your business. Um, Humans bring judgment, they bring creativity, they bring strategic thinking that AI just cannot replicate. Strategy and positioning can't be automated. You've got to do that. That's back to you being the human navigator. And then another key component in our industry is that home improvement decisions are typically emotional. They're not just logical. That humans decide what actually matters to them, what they really want, and what they want to ignore. And AI really cannot replicate that level of emotion, the emotion that your homeowner might be going through as they're talking about this kitchen that they've just outgrown and they're about ready to pull their hair out and they need a new office for hubby because now he's bringing his work home and sitting at the dining room table and working like one of my buddies did, and his wife's like, no, you got to go out, go find a WeWork office space or something. So things like that are very emotionally driven. So you want to be able to understand humans on that level, and AI just really can't replicate that. Humans are also essential for that strategy and positioning that I talked about, deciding really what matters most for your brand, for your company, for the messaging that you're putting out there in your marketing, the decisions that you're driving that will bring more qualified opportunities your way. Humans also are going to understand better the customer nuance and those emotions that I just talked about, the context of what that homeowner is really saying, their intent, the trust that they're looking for in what you're telling them and talking about when you're doing that consultation. And then understanding timing. Can AI understand timing? Yeah, a little bit, but they can't really understand when a homeowner says now's not the time, or we got to have this right now. Like, how can you help us, kind of thing. AI is not going to do that as well as a human. That's just not going to happen. We're not there yet. Maybe somewhere down the road. And then prioritization and trade-offs. What not to do is just as important as what to do. Eliminating the unnecessary before you focus on prioritizing the necessary. And then, like I said earlier, spotting new trends, trying to see patterns forming, looking at that data. A lot of people are starting to use it for the stock market, just saying, analyze these 5 stocks and tell me which one you see is doing better based on these, inputs, these variables, and all kinds of analysis, stock trending kind of terms that you would use. So really the possibilities are limitless. I've been using it for analyzing stocks and ETFs, things like that. So I know that there are so many ways that you can use it, and it just really just helps you learn. You just play with it. Find something that you're passionate about, that's something you enjoy as a hobby besides the remodeling design work that you do, which we know you're passionate about. But think of something else that might be a hobby and see if you can apply AI to it, because it will get you into it more. It will drive a little bit more interest and passion, and you'll be like, hey, this AI stuff's pretty cool. Maybe I will start using it for my company. And then, so, here's a key insight. AI mostly works off the past. Humans build the future. AI can't really predict or really understand what's in the future. We can't really do that too well either. I wish we could, right? We can pick some winning lottery numbers maybe. But at least we can do it better based on all of the experiences that we've had as a human being, not as a robot that is just collecting data from the internet. So, what this really translates to is that AI predicts based on what already happened. And as we all know in investing, past results are not indicative of future results. Like, there's always that disclaimer on every, investing website out there. Humans are really better at imagining what should or could happen next. And so your remodeling company growth, it's going to come from your vision, not just logical optimization carried out by AI. So, remember that again, you're not being replaced. You just found another tool in the toolbox to help you scale faster, work smarter instead of harder. And then, when we talk about integrating AI into your research, into your content, into your design processes, one key thing to remember is that AI is most powerful when embedded into existing workflows. In other words, the goal is leverage, not replacement. You've already done some of the work, and then you ask AI, hey, how can we make this better? The greatest example I can think of it in terms of as assist and not autopilot. And the best example of that is Tesla's full self-driving, which, by the way, if you've not been in a Tesla that does that, it's totally amazing. I've had Ubers pick me up, and a guy's just on his phone talking to me, and like, oh my God, he's not driving. But you still have to be at the wheel. You still have to pay attention. And even with Teslas, you have to have your hand on the wheel for most of the time, so that your car doesn't think you're just busy doom scrolling on your phone. And if it catches you doing that, it will catch you doing that, and it will set off an alarm that says, oh, and then hey, get your hand back on the wheel. And so it's not just autopilot. AI is not just autopilot. Yes, is it doing most of the work? Yes, but is it more of an assist that you still have to be there? You still have to be in the car. You still have to be thinking about, oh, do I really want to go down that one way? Like, we're getting ready to go down to one way, and I think my Tesla's going to take me down to one way, and it just did take me down to one way. Ask me how I know that. It happened. So, anyways, think of AI in that regard, and it will help really open your mind to the world of possibilities when you think of AI as an assist to the work you're doing, not as a replacement for an employee or for you, heaven forbid. And then when it comes to research, using AI to accelerate your insight gathering without replacing that human judgment. So, like I said, using AI to analyze your competitors or maybe to identify content gaps and content topic opportunities in your own marketing. When you look at your website and hopefully you're all doing blogs, one or two a month, really good blogs that are educational that a homeowner would really truly want to read. Maybe you have AI analyze your blogs, your whole website, or just say, hey, look at all my blogs and tell me where some good content opportunities that I can fill in some topics that I know homeowners would really love to read about that may inspire them to want to call me versus my remodeling competitor, and maybe even name two of those competitors. That can, these are really helpful things that will help you refine your marketing, get it a little more dialed in. You can even have it summarize your customer reviews and sentiment and see if you can gather anything from that. Maybe you're getting a lot of really great reviews, but maybe there's a trend in there where maybe even though they're all 5 star, maybe there's a trend that just says your communication maybe is not up to par. And AI can, give you that insight within 5 seconds. And you go, oh my God, like that insight's worth, gold to you and your business. And it did it in 5 seconds. And then the human role, you really need to decide what matters most. In other words, deciding which of these insights are actually useful, which ones you will apply and pay attention to, and which ones you can just say, that's, yeah, it's so-so. I'm just, okay, I'll file that away. Maybe we'll look at that later. Again, I use AI almost every day, asking it questions, just trying to figure things out. Some of the stuff I'm like, nah, no, don't need that, didn't want that. That's just doesn't apply to me. Could I ask the question again in a different manner and maybe get a better answer? Absolutely, most certainly. But we don't want to be flooded. This is where you can get into just overload, and you're going to be that little exploding head emoji if you just try to feed everything into AI and then digest all that yourself, because again, we can't process at those speeds, right? And then filtering insights through your real world experience. You guys are the one that are in the business. You're in the design studio. You're in, you're on job sites. Looking at where walls come together and corners and cabinets overhanging and things like that. That maybe it just doesn't work out, and it's your real world contractor experience that you're able to apply to some of this data and some of these things that you're working on that really makes more sense than AI can make for you. And then helping, translate that data into a strategic direction is going to take you to do that as well. You take all that AI data, you take all those insights, and then you parse it and you kind of move it all around and think about how I use this to move my company forward. That's going to be a really key insight that you need to think about from the human perspective. And so here's just an example of how to use AI to do some research for you. In this query, the screenshot I've captured here for you, I just asked it to find local events going on in a community for a client, things that we can incorporate into our writing, but also just to be aware of what might be relevant for our client's company and the brand exposure that they may be able to get from that. And so then it spits out this whole table of events that you can decide, whether getting brand exposure at any of these events might be beneficial for your company. You can use this in your social media too, to say perhaps something like, hey, I'm going to be at the local farmers market this weekend. Hope to see some of you guys there. And then, of course, you show up with your branded shirt on so they recognize you, or your hat maybe, or maybe you have your beautiful graphics wrapped truck parked out in the back of the parking lot, so everyone can really see it out there. That visibility is pretty obvious. These are little hacks like that can help you with your brand strategy. Imagine showing up with your shirt and someone saying, "Oh my God, I saw your post. I can't believe we're actually talking." And now you're talking to someone in community. You're just having a great conversation. Maybe it leads to a job. Maybe it leads to a referral. Maybe you just made a new friend and you've just, showcased that you are a part of the community. You're not just a company out there looking to make money. You do want to be involved in the community and show up at events like that. And then, in terms of content, AI supports the creation of content, but humans still own the message. And I think that's where most people are going wrong. Again, that example I gave earlier, just pumping out AI blog after AI blog after AI blog, that's just not the way to do it. These are tasks that should be AI assisted. In other words, AI can help speed up your first drafts and your rough outlines of content, whether it be a blog or content of your website or even a letter you're writing or an email you're sending. It can also help test headlines and call to action variations, which variation is working. Hey, I'm, rotating these two variations of a call to action, and this one just it seems to be, converting at 10 times the rate of the other. So now you've done a nice little A/B split test on your own. Now you're a professional marketer with a little help of AI. You can also use AI to repurpose your long form content into short form assets. I'm not sure how many of you guys are doing that on here. Give me a one in the chat if anyone's repurposing long form content into short form assets. What I mean by that is taking a blog, a really good blog you and AI have written together, and then you repurpose that into short little posts for your Google business profile or for your Facebook profile. No one's in chat. I don't see anyone doing that. That's a nice little hack there. Instead of trying to write, a big long blog and then, oh, give me 10 different, posts. Take that long form blog and say, give me 10 posts from that are relevant. And then you can put that on your Google business profile and then you can link it back to the blog. So now you've got a post on Google that has gotten some traction and engagement. You've clicked, your customers clicked on the link, your prospective customer. And so now Google sees that engagement as well. And now they went to your website. Google sees that engagement. Now your Google Search Console picks up the fact that you've got a new visitor from Google. And now people are reading that. And now they may end up even calling you. So there's a lot of things that are all tied together there that all kind of result in more engagement. And that's really kind of what we're looking for. And then in terms of, kind of human-led responsibilities, messaging hierarchy. This translates into developing authority and trust based on your experience and expertise. In other words, that well-known EAT acronym that defines Google algorithm today. I'm sure you guys have heard of EAT. If you haven't, you should become familiar with it. We talk about it a lot. I talk about it in almost every one of my workshops. It's really what dictates Google's algorithm and search engine strategy and whether you're showing up on page one or not. That EAT algorithm stands for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. This is the foundation of SEO nowadays, and it's not just Google either. When you think about it, like these are things that people would want to know about. They want to know you have experience. They want to know you have expertise at what you do. They want to know you've built some authority around your brand, around your company, and they want to trust you. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So these are just common things that we don't always think about in terms of marketing and how that's really going to affect whether we get qualified opportunities in the door or not. And then brand voice and tone, making sure that you're putting your brand voice and tone into those AI inputs, not just saying, hey, spit me out an article. It's just going to write a generic AI article. It needs to have your brand voice, give it some of your videos, let it learn your voice. I've done that. I upload all of our stuff into my own custom GBT. It's got my videos, it's got my webinar. This webinar would go in there, and it better understands me and it can better understand the way I think, the way I talk, maybe the jokes I put in or the humor or wit that I use. That's the kind of things you want in your content that AI can't do when you just put in those generic inputs and say, write me an article on kitchen remodeling. I mean, that's going to be the most boring, driest, useless article that you could ever, count on AI to spit out for you. And then, of course, humans have that storytelling aspect that AI can't replicate, and injecting authority and differentiation into that as well. That storytelling that builds credibility. AI can't fake that, and it really helps people see themselves in the story, and that's just something that AI doesn't really understand. And so here's just an example. I'm just going to kind of play this. I just kind of record a video of this input that I put in here. And so you really want to make sure that you're formatting your prompt, being as detailed as possible when doing that, to have all these details that create your article. Then reviewing that output for errors, and then mostly consider it a first draft. Make sure it aligns with your brand voice and the tone you want to be using, and that the information is accurate. And here's the important part. I'm going to say it again, is making sure you add extra inputs in order to edit and refine the article for exactly what you want that message to say, and to speak to your ideal customer avatar. This is a step most people skip. In other words, most people just accept that first output as the final output. You asked for the article and here it is, and people just take that and go slap it on their website. And that's really a no-no. And then do one more final review at the end to make sure that your article is precisely on point for what you were striving for. And so hopefully this seems simple enough for you to replicate. Yet it takes you past that, just pushing that big red easy button to get the output as quick as you can with the least amount of effort. Shortcutting like that will be readily obvious to your readers, as well as to the search engines like Google. Google's not going to index your content if it's just generic AI content that most people, frankly, are spitting out these days. I've heard that Google is de-indexed over 1 billion pages on Google. They just, your blog page could be de-indexed. It will never show in the search engines because Google just says, it's just a bunch of AI garbage where it's not even worth ranking that. So many people jumped on AI bandwagon a year or two ago and, oh my God, it can just write everything for me. And Google said, no, that's not really what we're interested in. That's not what your customers are interested in. So the key takeaway here is that AI can write the content, but humans create the meaning behind the content. When it comes to design, one of your guys' favorite topics, I'm sure, AI can accelerate this production, but human beings are going to be the ones that ensure impact behind the design. So, AI tools can help with visual concepts, can help with layout suggestions, maybe rapid iteration, and for testing purposes. So you're not taking forever to be like, what do you think about this? Okay, you don't like it? All right, we'll come back in a week with another version. AI can give you 3 versions in about 15 seconds. So, super quick. Still need that human oversight to ensure that you have your brand consistency across all your marketing channels. You have emotional resonance in there so that your messaging will resonate with homeowners. And then you're also conversion focused on your design decisions. In other words, designs that actually convert and not just look good. You may be pumping out a bunch of designs for Facebook or Instagram, let's say. And are they actually working? Are they converting? Are you seeing any level of engagement? Are you looking at your Facebook metrics and being like, oh my God, we've been posting 18 times a day, but we're not getting any engagement. It could be your design, could be 18 times a day, might be too much, but it could be your designs are just not resonating with homeowners. They're just like, I don't really, that just looks AI to me, and the messaging's off, whatever it may be. And so, here's an example of the way we use AI in design. This is a screenshot that comes from Canva. It's an online design platform that you may have heard of, one that we use for helping create all kinds of different designs for all kinds of different purposes. It's just, it's like an Illustrator. You can create all your designs in there, and then you export those and use them wherever you want, put them into your post and rewrite your post, things like that. But with Canva, it lets you input your ideas, your specifications, pretty much whatever you want. And you can even do it via voice too. If you look here where the arrow is, you got a little microphone there. So if you hate typing like I do, you can just talk into it. I use that with Grok a lot. It's like asking ChatGPT or Grok for help. The key is to start with really good inputs and then keep asking for refinements until you get the exact output and product that you want. That's how I do it. I like Grok better. It's much more intelligent. Doesn't have some of the hiccups that ChatGPT is experiencing. And you just do it via voice, and I can just say, no, I don't like that. Change this part, change this part, change this part. And I don't have to worry about typing or thinking about it. It just happens really quickly. So I would say, give that a try as well. And then, let's talk about the AI operator framework a little bit. An AI operator is not someone who uses AI casually, but it's someone who directs AI toward measurable business outcomes. And so, again, the common theme here is AI executes, humans decide. This is the framework that you want to rely on. It's also the framework that's going to help you prevent a lot of tool overload as well. And so, how do we do that? First, we define the outcome before using AI. Define what success looks like. Are we talking about revenue growth? Are we talking about lead generation, conversion rate optimization and improvement? Are we talking about just simply efficiency and time savings? What is the real goal here? And be specific here too. Know exactly what those goals are. AI without goals just creates more noise for you to deal with that chaos that I was talking about earlier. More noise and chaos because it's just it's overload. And then there's the aspect of choosing the right AI tools. There's so many tools that out there, but there's so many tools that create friction, confusion, inconsistent results even. The goal is clarity and consistency, not experimentation chaos. The fewer tools that you use typically equals better results. Pick tools that support your goals, not just tools that are trending at the time. And you want to use tools that you like, that you have fun using. The more you like my custom GBT, I love. I get sarcastic with it, and it makes me want to use it more because it's fun. I've got this sarcastic person with quotes to talk to and make fun of. So it kind of makes it more fun for me to use it. And so some examples of research tools, everyone knows ChatGPT and Claude. There's Gemini and Grok, and there's so many others out there. But you can use these for competitor analysis, market trend summaries, maybe even customer pain point synthesis, trying to figure out what your customer pain points really are and why maybe you keep losing jobs after successful design consultations. Maybe you're not hitting pain points. Maybe you're not hitting some of the things that they were looking for. Perplexity AI, this is really good for source-backed research, like numbers, data crunching kind of stuff. Good for really fast competitive intelligence. And then also for topic and or industry trend discovery. We talked a lot about, recognizing trends. And then you've got tools like Spark Toro, audience research, where your customers spend time online, influencers and other platforms that matter. Maybe you want to get with some influencers and figure out where they may be able to find some synergy with your brand. Things like that you can do. And then the human role in all of this is really important as well. Um, you really need to decide which insights matter. What aligns with your business goals and what should drive your particular company's strategies. So you've got content tools out there. Again, ChatGPT and Claude are great for content, those blog drafts and outlines, emails, ad copy variations, content repurposing. Jasper is a good one for kind of training on your brand and generating content from that. Campaign messaging consistency. Just script is good for transcription. You ever sit in a meeting, you can have it, transcribe everything for you, pull out some of the highlights. It also will help you turn long form video into podcast or into written content. So there's a lot for the human role. That human role is about owning the messaging hierarchy, the brand voice, the storytelling, and all those final edits as well. Then there's ads and paid media tools. So examples of those, Google Performance Max is now using AI in there. You're going to see more AI reporting and insights coming into your Google Search Console. In the Performance Max, it's doing that automated bidding and placement that's been going on forever. It helps you discover your particular ideal audiences. So audience discovery, Meta, they're using AI-driven ad optimization. I think they just dropped one of the divisions. Oh, the wearables and the glasses and all that. They just fired like hundreds of people from that division and moved them, not fired them. Maybe some got fired, but moved a lot of those over into their AI division. Like when companies like Meta and Google know that Google is going this direction, that AI is going this direction, I'm sorry, then you need to believe it. That's where it's going. So that was I just heard that about Meta this week. Huge shift in AI-driven ad optimization, creative testing, audience testing, things like that. And then there's AdCreative.ai. That's another one that's good for rapid ad creative generation, visual variations, ad copy variations. So you can check out AdCreative.ai if you want. But with all these ad tools, just remember that AI can optimize delivery, but it's not the best at really defining your offer. You know what that offer is. You go tell AI, hey, come up with some offers. It's going to come up with some really ridiculous offers that you're going to be like, never in a million years. So, humans are best for setting that targeting, that positioning, and really defining what your success metrics are going to look like. Again, that human role is going to ensure, that you're defining the offer, you're defining the target audience, that those success metrics, you're interpreting those results. Canva AI, I talked about that. That's a good one for social graphics, presentations, brand kits, templates, things like that. Mid-Journey and Dolly, concept visuals, creative inspiration. You've got Figma AI as well, layout suggestions, user experience, what we call UX, design assistance, things like that. So again, there are so many tools out there. Hopefully you're writing some of these down, explore them, see which ones you like, see which one will fit your strategy, your vision on how to use those tools. What's going to work best for your company? There's going to be a tool out there that's going to really help you move your company forward. But again, that human role ensures the emotional impact, the brand alignment, and the conversion focused design that's going to be necessary for you to succeed. And then training the AI, that's a huge third step here. AI performs best based on inputs. And it only performs as well as the inputs you give it. Like I always say, garbage in equals garbage out. No more true than with AI. And so the more you give AI, the more precise you are with your inputs, the better your outputs will be. Feed AI your brand voice guidelines. Feed it your ideal customer profile and demographics and everything you know about your ideal customer avatar. Feed it the positive and the negative signals that you want to be on the lookout for. Feed it real examples of what good looks like. That's really key. The more you do that, the better those results will be. I'd love to hear from any of you on the workshop today. If you try some of this and go, oh my God, Bob, I elevated my inputs, and you're right, my outputs are so much better. If you experience that, please think of me and just send me an email or a text or something to say, hey man, I just had an epiphany, I had a breakthrough here. I won't bug you, I won't put you on my marketing list just because of that. You're already there. You're on my workshop, so you're following me. I would just love to hear success stories like that because it really is was a transcendental breakthrough for you to be like, oh my God, this is real. This really works, and I really like this now. So, anyways, that's something to think about, on how you can use some of those tools. And then step four, executing at scale, using AI to test variations rapidly. Like I said, you don't have to wait a week to get another variation mock-up. You can just go boom, 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 boom. You get 3, 10 different variations in a matter of seconds. And then you can refresh and optimize your existing content. Again, what we call repurposing content. Like if you've got a blog that's been on your website for 3 years, you look in Google Search Console, it's not getting any traction. No one's going to that page. No one reads it. People, the dwell time, how long they spend on that page is like 8 seconds. It means they're going there and they're like, nah, no. And then they go back into your, the page on your website, and eventually they're back into Google or over on YouTube watching cat videos. But take that old blog from 3 years ago and have AI rewrite it. Say, hey, this blog's not getting any traction. No, what's wrong with it? How can I rewrite it? Yada yada yada. Give it all those inputs, and then you rewrite that, and then repost it. And now you've got a new blog. It's not the same. It's different. It's got a whole different context to it, whole different messaging to it, and now maybe it will get some traction. So that's what we call repurposing content. We do that as well with all of our clients. There's so many, you don't want to there's only so many ways you can talk about kitchen remodeling, kitchen design, right? So it starts to get redundant after a while. So you can find the blogs that didn't work the best, repurpose those. The ones that are working great, leave them, and then come up with new topics as well. And then you can use AI to, improve your campaign performance continuously. Just keep scaling what works, and kill off and quit doing what doesn't work. Kind of pretty simple in that regard. And then last step five is just review and adjust. This is what I like to call the human checkpoint. This is where the human, the owner operator steps back in to evaluate. Okay, what worked, and why did it work? What are your thoughts? What thoughts do AI have on that? Maybe what didn't work? Why didn't it work? What are the thoughts on that? What might need some strategic refinement? Again, this is you and AI working together. AI executes, humans decide. And then here's some common mistakes to avoid. Really, the goal here is just to avoid wasted time, money, and effort. Most failures aren't technical in nature, they're strategic. So, avoid the automation without intention. Again, make sure you know where you're going before you go there. You can't feed AI all this stuff and just not even know where you're going. And we don't jump in our car and go, hey, let's explore along the way. Where are we going? Well, I don't know, but when we get there, we'll know. Like none of us do that, right? Unless you're road tripping like me on some summer vacation where I don't really have any direction in mind besides northwest, south, or east. And then some common pitfalls, again, letting AI define your strategy, publishing AI content without that human review, without that human oversight, without maybe injecting a little bit of human touch in there, a little of your humor, your wit, your brand voice. Chasing new tools instead of the outcomes. Quit chasing new tools. Use the tool you've got and try to get to the outcome you need. And then maybe you find that that's not the perfect tool for you. Maybe there is a better one. But don't do that. Chase the outcomes first, and then measure your activity instead of your impact is a pitfall as well. The impact is what matters. Don't say, "Oh, I spent 12 hours on AI this week." It doesn't mean anything. What was the impact of that 12 hours you spent? That's what really matters. Then you go, "Oh, wow, there is no impact." Okay, then you didn't spend those 12 hours wisely. You're working harder but not smarter. Just a reminder: automation without direction, it just creates noise. It doesn't create growth for you. That's something really important to remember. Um, so that's been a mouthful. There's a lot to digest. I've got an action plan here I want to go over with you really quick. Any questions you have, put them in the chat. Let me know. I know it's a lot to kind of take in. Hopefully, I've delivered a lot of value so far, at least, to where you go, wow, like this is really going to help me. But let me know if you have any questions. You can always email them to me as well. Send them over. on socials, whatever you want. But action plan for you guys walking away from this is to really balance your automation and your strategy. The core principle here is to start simple, not perfect. Focus on on one marketing channel at a time, the one that you're most likely to use and pay attention to, and then make sure you don't add in too much complexity. That will only kill your momentum by doing that. So don't try to go hog wild here. Just kind of baby steps, like I like to say. Your 90-day action plan, month one, you're going to audit your current marketing and just kind of simplify it as needed. Identify those gaps in content or any inefficiencies that may be going on with your marketing or maybe even, within operations. And then selecting, some core AI tools to use as well. That's going to be really important. Month two, implement AI into one primary marketing channel and then define those KPIs clearly, those key performance indicators, those results that you're trying to get to. Again, you don't want to overload yourself here. And then month three, optimize what's working, scale the proven system. That's what we've done. We have a proven system that works. That's why we're able to work with so many clients across the country because it works. We optimize, 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 and then we scale it once we get it perfected or as close to perfect, and then we keep trying to perfect it. And then, really try to eliminate any unnecessary complexity. That's just going to, drive you away from using AI, and it's not going to really serve you in the long run. It's going to actually do you, push you away and do damage and not help you at all. And key reminder here, AI should make marketing simpler, not more chaotic. AI isn't replacing you. It's not replacing contractors. It's not even replacing marketers for that matter. I've been here in SEO is dead for 11 years now. First time I heard it was 2015, and it's stuck in my mind. And AI is not going to replace any of that. The winners will be the ones who stay intentional and stay consistent in executing their strategy and being the driver of their vision. So I hope all that landed well for you. I hope I've given you guys a lot of value. That's my intent here. I love to educate. I wanted to be a teacher, but I always realized I didn't want to be poor all my life. So I'm not a teacher, but I am trying to still be an educator, trying to give you as much value as I can. I'm just trying to help you. If you want to reach out to me, if you want help with how we do things, you want to show up in one of those AI snippets, there's a good chance we can make that happen for you, make you stand out in your community. But I just love to educate. I love dropping value. I hope you guys have gotten a lot of value. Give me a thank you in the chat if you did. We do these workshops pretty much every month, just trying to kind of teach you guys on anything and everything we can, from SEO to social media to AI, anything and everything to help you out. But I appreciate you guys being here. Thanks, Marcia, for the note. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Joel. I really appreciate you guys and your comments. Let me know if I can help you in any way. And then otherwise, guys, have a blessed rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next workshop. Take care, everyone.